15 black celebrities you didn't know were gay. What if the black legends you admire didn't just battle the industry for success, but for the right to live honestly? While the world celebrated their talent, many were forced to hide parts of themselves to survive fame. This isn't celebrity gossip. These are stories of pressure, silence, and courage behind the spotlight. Why was authenticity treated as a risk instead of a right? And who decided which truths were acceptable? Watch closely, because some of these stories may challenge everything you think you know. Subscribe to Black Excellence Legends and comment below which truth shocked you the most. Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah, born Dana Elaine Owens, stands as one of the most influential and enduring figures in modern American entertainment. Rising in the late 1980s, she did not simply enter hip-hop, she reshaped it. Her debut album, All Hail the Queen, 1989, arrived at a time when female voices in rap were marginalized, yet it sold hundreds of thousands of copies and delivered an unmistakable message of Black pride, self-respect, and women's empowerment. Songs like Ladies First became cultural statements, positioning her as a leader rather than a novelty. What makes Queen Latifah's career remarkable is not just longevity, but range. She transitioned seamlessly from music to acting, a move many artists attempt but few master. In film, she earned an Academy Award nomination for Chicago, 2002, becoming one of a small number of Black women recognized in that category at the time. On television, Living Single ran for 5 seasons and is widely credited with laying the groundwork for later ensemble sitcoms, influencing shows such as Friends. By the mid-2000s, Latifah had become a rare figure equally respected in hip-hop, Hollywood, and mainstream pop culture. While her professional life has been highly visible, her personal life has been deliberately controlled. Queen Latifah has never publicly labeled her sexuality, nor has she staged a formal coming-out moment. Instead, she has consistently emphasized privacy as a personal right rather than a secret to be exposed. At the same time, her actions speak clearly. She has supported LGBTQ+ causes for decades, performed at pride events, spoken against discrimination, and produced inclusive content through her production company. This balance, visibility without confession, quietly challenged an industry that often demands public disclosure as proof of authenticity. Her influence extends beyond awards and box office numbers. Latifah redefined what power looks like for a Black woman in entertainment: ownership, longevity, and self-definition. In an era when many celebrities were pressured to explain themselves, she demonstrated that silence can be intentional, dignified, and radical. Rather than allowing the media to frame her identity, Queen Latifah chose to frame her legacy, one built on talent, discipline, and the freedom to exist without apology. Tyler, the Creator. Tyler, the Creator, born Tyler Gregory Okonma, represents one of the most dramatic artistic evolutions in modern hip-hop. When he emerged in the late 2000s as the leader of the Odd Future Collective, his image was confrontational, chaotic, and intentionally provocative. Early projects leaned heavily on shock value, dark humor, and aggressive language, earning both intense criticism and a fiercely loyal fan base. Yet reducing Tyler to controversy misses the larger story, one of calculated reinvention and growing self-awareness. The turning point came with Flower Boy, 2017. The album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and marked a striking shift in tone and content. Instead of rage and satire, Tyler explored isolation, longing, and identity, using subtle lyrical references that suggested attraction to men. Rather than issuing a press statement or claiming a fixed label, he allowed the music to speak. This approach challenged an industry that often demands explicit declarations, particularly from Black male artists in hip-hop, a genre historically hostile to queer openness. Tyler expanded this creative honesty with Igor, 2019, a project that blurred genre boundaries and won the Grammy Award for Best Rap Album. The record centered on an emotionally complex same-sex love narrative presented without apology or explanation. Commercially, it was a triumph. Culturally, it was a disruption. Tyler proved that vulnerability and ambiguity could coexist with mainstream success, rewriting assumptions about masculinity, sexuality, and artistic freedom in rap. Beyond music, Tyler's influence stretches into fashion, design, and entrepreneurship. His brand, Golf Le Fleur, has collaborated with major global companies while maintaining a distinct aesthetic rooted in individuality rather than trend-chasing. Publicly, he continues to resist rigid definitions, frequently emphasizing that identity is fluid and personal. That refusal itself has become part of his impact. Tyler, the creator, did not simply come into his truth. He dismantled the expectation that truth must look a certain way. By thriving without conforming to labels or industry comfort zones, he expanded the cultural space available to future Black queer artists. His legacy is not just in awards or sales, but in proving that creative evolution can be loud, confusing, and deeply authentic all at once. Niecy Nash. Niecy Nash, born Carol Denise Betts, has built a career defined by versatility, resilience, and an unmistakable warmth that resonates across generations. She first gained national attention through comedy, most notably on Reno 9/11, where her sharp timing and commanding presence made her a standout. Over time, she proved that humor was only one dimension of her talent, delivering powerful, dramatic performances in projects such as When They See Us, which earned her critical acclaim and an Emmy Award. For much of her public life, Nash's personal story appeared conventional by Hollywood standards. She had been married twice to men, raised children, and spoke openly about relationships without questioning her identity in the public eye. That narrative shifted in 2020 when she announced her marriage to singer Jessica Betts. The revelation was not framed as a scandal or confession, but as a declaration of happiness. Nash later clarified that she did not come out as much as she went into herself, a distinction that resonated deeply with audiences. Her openness challenged two powerful assumptions: that self-discovery has an expiration date, and that queerness must follow a predictable storyline. Nash became a symbol for people who find clarity later in life, showing that authenticity is not bound by age, past choices, or public expectation. Her marriage was celebrated not only for its visibility, but for the joy and peace she radiated when speaking about it. Professionally, Nash continued to thrive. She expanded her work as a producer and host while using her platform to amplify stories centered on marginalized voices. Unlike many celebrity narratives shaped by struggle, her story emphasized fulfillment, a reminder that living truthfully can be expansive rather than disruptive. Niecy Nash's impact lies in her refusal to frame her life as a correction. Instead, she presents it as a continuation. By embracing love openly and unapologetically, she reframed queerness as something rooted in happiness, not conflict, and reminded audiences that it is never too late to live honestly and joyfully. Frank Ocean. Frank Ocean, born Christopher Edwin Breaux, emerged as one of the most influential voices of his generation by doing something rare in popular music: prioritizing emotional truth over spectacle. He first gained widespread attention with the mixtape Nostalgia Ultra 2011, a project that blended R&B, pop, and introspective storytelling in ways that felt radically personal. The success of Channel Orange 2012, which debuted at #2 on the Billboard 200 and won a Grammy Award, confirmed that Ocean was not just a promising newcomer, but a defining artist of the era. Just days before that album's release, Frank Ocean posted an open letter on Tumblr, revealing that his first love was a man. The message was understated, reflective, and deeply human. There was no press tour or dramatic announcement, yet its impact was historic. At the time, Openly queer black men were nearly invisible at the top levels of R&B and hip-hop. Ocean's honesty cracked a door many believe was permanently sealed, proving that artistic credibility and queerness were not mutually exclusive. What followed made his approach even more powerful. Ocean refused to turn his identity into a marketing tool. He rarely addressed his sexuality in interviews and consistently redirected attention back to the work itself. His 2016 album, Blonde, debuted at #1 in multiple countries, earned universal critical acclaim, and is frequently cited among the greatest albums of the 21st century. The project explored love, memory, masculinity, and loss without gendered constraints, allowing listeners to project their own experiences onto the music. Beyond sales and awards, Frank Ocean's influence is cultural. He redefined vulnerability for male artists, particularly within black music spaces shaped by rigid expectations. By choosing restraint over explanation, he demonstrated that authenticity does not require constant disclosure. His silence was not avoidance, but control. Frank Ocean's legacy lies in his refusal to perform identity for approval. He showed that truth can be quiet, that representation can exist without slogans, and that changing culture sometimes happens not through loud declarations, but through art that refuses to lie. Lena Waithe. Lena Waithe has become one of the most important creative forces in contemporary television and film by doing what Hollywood long resisted, centering black queer stories without compromise. Born in Chicago, Waithe entered the industry as a writer, steadily building a reputation for honesty and sharp social observation. Her breakthrough came with Master of None, where she co-wrote and starred in the episode Thanksgiving, a deeply personal narrative tracing a young black lesbian's coming-out journey across multiple family gatherings. The episode earned Waithe an Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing for a Comedy Series in 2017, making her the first black woman to win in that category. The moment was historic, but more importantly, it validated stories that had rarely been given space in mainstream television. Waithe did not treat queerness as a subplot or a problem to solve. She presented it as a lived reality shaped by culture, family, and time. Her influence expanded rapidly. In 2018, she created The Chai, a drama rooted in the complexities of life on Chicago's South Side. As a producer, she backed projects like Queen and Slim, 2019, a film that sparked global conversation about black love, resistance, and survival. Through her production company, she consistently elevated marginalized voices, particularly those at the intersection of race, gender, and sexuality. Unlike many public figures, Waithe has never separated her identity from her work. Openly lesbian and unapologetically masculine presenting, she challenged Hollywood's narrow definitions of marketability. Her visibility alone disrupted long-standing norms, while her success dismantled the argument that authenticity limits reach. Lena Waithe's power lies in intention. She does not seek approval by softening her truth, nor does she rely on shock. Instead, she builds worlds where black queer lives are complex, flawed, joyful, and central. In doing so, she has transformed personal truth into cultural infrastructure, ensuring that future storytellers no longer have to ask for permission to exist. Lil Nas X. Lil Nas X, born Montero Lamar Hill, did not simply break into the music industry, he detonated expectations. In 2019, his genre-blending single, Old Town Road, became a global phenomenon, spending a record-breaking 19 weeks at #1. One on the Billboard Hot 100. The song's success challenged rigid genre classifications and exposed deep-rooted gatekeeping within the music industry, particularly around race in country music. At just 20 years old, Lil Nas X found himself at the center of a cultural storm. At the height of that success, he made a decision that would define his legacy far beyond charts. In June 2019, Lil Nas X publicly came out as gay via social media. The timing was deliberate. Rather than waiting for fame to fade, he chose visibility at his commercial peak, directly confronting a hip-hop culture long criticized for its hostility toward queer identities. The response was mixed, but the support outweighed the backlash, signaling a generational shift in audience attitudes. He doubled down on that honesty with his debut album, Montero, 2021. The project was unapologetic, theatrical, and confrontational, particularly its lead single, Montero, Call Me By Your Name. The music video sparked intense global debate for its religious imagery and overt celebration of queer desire. Yet commercially and critically, it succeeded, proving that bold self-expression could thrive in the mainstream. Rather than retreating under scrutiny, Lil Nas X used controversy as a mirror, forcing audiences to confront their own discomfort. Beyond music, his influence lies in digital fluency. He mastered social media as both shield and weapon, blending humor, satire, and direct engagement to control his narrative. This approach allowed him to humanize himself while disarming critics, particularly those attempting to weaponize morality against his identity. Lil Nas X represents a new model of celebrity, openly queer, unapologetically black, and fully in command of his image. His visibility is not passive representation, but active disruption. By refusing to dilute himself for acceptance, he expanded what success can look like for young queer artists and made authenticity a non-negotiable part of the conversation. Wanda Sykes. Wanda Sykes has built her career on precision, sharp language, fearless observation, and an unwavering commitment to truth. Born in Virginia, she first gained industry respect as a writer on The Chris Rock Show, where her voice stood out for its intelligence and bite. That foundation propelled her into stand-up comedy, where she became known for dissecting politics, race, and gender with clarity that cut through discomfort rather than avoiding it. For years, Sykes kept her personal life separate from her public persona. That changed in 2008, when she came out as a lesbian during a rally opposing California's Proposition 8, which sought to ban same-sex marriage. The setting mattered. Her announcement was not a publicity move, but an act of resistance, aligning her identity with a broader fight for equality. In that moment, she transformed personal truth into political statement. Rather than softening her comedy afterward, Sykes sharpened it. Her stand-up began addressing sexuality with the same unapologetic humor she applied to race and power. She refused to present queerness as novelty or confession, treating it instead as another facet of lived experience worthy of laughter and critique. This approach normalized LGBTQ+ presence in mainstream comedy at a time when such visibility was still rare. Her acting career flourished alongside her activism. Roles in series such as Curb Your Enthusiasm and The New Adventures of Old Christine showcased her versatility, while her voice work and film appearances broadened her reach. Offstage, she has remained a consistent advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, particularly marriage equality and anti-discrimination efforts. Wanda Sykes' impact is rooted in courage without spectacle. She did not ask permission to exist openly, nor did she allow her identity to overshadow her craft. By standing firmly in both, she demonstrated that comedy can be more than entertainment. It can be a tool for truth, resilience, and lasting cultural change. Da Brat, born Shantae Harris, occupies a permanent place in hip-hop history as a barrier breaker long before conversations about identity became mainstream. In 1994, her debut album, Functified, made her the first solo female rapper to achieve platinum certification in the United States, a milestone that reshaped the possibilities for women in rap. At a time when the genre was aggressively male-dominated, her confident delivery, charisma, and lyrical control established her not as an exception, but as a force. Throughout the height of her early success, Da Brat kept her private life carefully protected. Speculation followed her for decades, fueled by hip-hop's rigid expectations around gender and sexuality. Unlike many peers, she neither confirmed nor denied rumors, choosing instead to let her work define her. In hindsight, that discretion reflects the cultural climate of the 1990s and early 2000s, when being openly queer in rap often meant career isolation. That chapter shifted in 2020, when Da Brat publicly confirmed her relationship with entrepreneur Jessica Judy Dupart. The announcement was not framed as controversy, but as clarity. For the first time, she spoke openly about love, vulnerability, and the relief of no longer hiding. The couple's reality series, Brat Loves Judy, offered audiences an unfiltered look at their lives, documenting not just romance, but communication, conflict, and growth. In 2022, they married, and in 2023, they welcomed their son, building a family fully in the public eye. What makes Da Brat's story powerful is timing. Her openness did not come at the start of her career, but after decades of success, proving that authenticity does not have an expiration date. She represents an artist who survived an era that demanded silence and emerged into one that allows truth. Today, Da Brat's legacy extends beyond music. She stands as proof that evolution is not betrayal, and that living openly can be an expansion rather than a loss. Her journey reframes queerness in hip-hop, not as a risk, but as a continuation of self-ownership. Brittney Griner. Brittney Griner is widely recognized as one of the most dominant players in the history of women's basketball, but her impact reaches far beyond the court. Standing at 6 feet 9 inches, she redefined what was physically and stylistically possible in the WNBA, becoming one of the first players to dunk consistently in games. As the #1 overall pick in the 2013 WNBA draft, she quickly established herself as a defensive powerhouse, elite scorer, and cornerstone of the Phoenix Mercury franchise. From the beginning of her professional career, Griner was openly gay, a choice that carried particular weight in the world of elite sports, where conformity has often been rewarded over honesty. Rather than downplaying her identity, she treated it as inseparable from who she was. This visibility made her a crucial figure for LGBTQ+ representation in athletics, especially for young Black queer athletes who rarely saw themselves reflected at the highest levels. Griner's achievements speak for themselves. Multiple WNBA All-Star selections, league championships, and Olympic gold medals with Team USA. Yet her public narrative has never been limited to statistics. She has consistently spoken about the importance of self-acceptance, mental health, and resilience, particularly in environments that pressure athletes to suppress individuality. Her life has not been without turbulence. Personal struggles, public scrutiny, and global political events placed her under an intensity few athletes experience. Through it all, Griner remained visible, not as a symbol manufactured by others, but as a person navigating complexity in real time. Brittney Griner's significance lies in her refusal to minimize herself. She did not trade excellence for acceptance, nor acceptance for silence. By existing openly and competing relentlessly, she challenged entrenched ideas about femininity, strength, and sexuality in sports. Her legacy is one of presence, a reminder that greatness does not require conformity, and that visibility itself can be an act of courage. Kenan Lonsdale. Kenan Lonsdale represents a generation of artists redefining what visibility looks like in mainstream entertainment. Born in Australia and rising to international recognition through television, Lonsdale became widely known for his role as Wally West, also known as Kid Flash, on the CW series The Flash. His presence carried weight far beyond the screen. He was one of the few Black actors portraying a superhero in a genre long dominated by narrow representations of masculinity and identity. In 2017, at a moment when his career was gaining momentum, Lonsdale publicly came out as queer and later identified as pansexual. The announcement was not framed as a scandal or headline grabber, but as a matter-of-fact acknowledgement of self. In an industry where young actors are often advised to remain ambiguous to protect their marketability, his honesty was a deliberate act of self-definition. It signaled a refusal to compartmentalize identity for professional comfort. Lonsdale's impact expanded with his role in Love, Simon, 2018, one of the first major studio films centered on a gay teenage protagonist. Playing Bram, he contributed to a project that brought queer narratives into the global mainstream, offering representation that was tender, affirming, and unapologetically joyful. For many young viewers, especially those navigating multiple identities, his performance carried a sense of possibility rather than tragedy. Beyond acting, Lonsdale has pursued music as a parallel form of expression, blending pop and R&B influences with introspective themes. His lyrics often explore self-acceptance, mental health, and emotional openness, reinforcing a consistent artistic philosophy across mediums. On social media, he speaks candidly about vulnerability, faith, and the pressures of public life, positioning honesty as strength rather than liability. Kenan Lonsdale's significance lies in presence rather than provocation. He does not seek to shock or explain himself. Instead, he exists openly at the intersection of blackness, queerness, and creativity, expanding the definition of what a leading man can be. By choosing authenticity over performance, he contributes to a cultural shift where representation is not exceptional, but expected. Frankie Knuckles. Frankie Knuckles is remembered not only as a pioneer of modern dance music, but as a cultural architect who built spaces of freedom during a time of profound exclusion. Widely known as a godfather of house music, Knuckles played a foundational role in shaping a genre that would go on to influence global pop, electronic, and R&B music. His work as a DJ at Chicago's Warehouse Club in the late 1970s and early 1980s helped define the sound that would eventually be called house music. What set Knuckles apart was not just technical skill, but intention. His sets fused disco, soul, gospel, and electronic experimentation, creating immersive experiences designed for release and connection. The Warehouse became more than a club. It was a refuge, particularly for Black and queer communities who were excluded from mainstream nightlife. In these spaces, music functioned as both celebration and survival. As a gay man, Knuckles lived much of his early career with careful privacy. The broader cultural climate offered little safety, especially as the AIDS crisis devastated the very communities his music uplifted. Over time, that crisis transformed Knuckles into an advocate. He used his platform to raise awareness and funds, linking dance music culture to activism without diluting its joy. His response demonstrated that care and resistance could coexist with creativity. Knuckles' influence extended internationally, shaping the rise of electronic dance music scenes in Europe and beyond. Tracks like Your Love became enduring anthems, still played decades later. Yet his legacy cannot be measured solely in records or remixes. It lives in the culture of dance floors built on inclusivity, rhythm, and collective release. When Frankie Knuckles passed away in 2014, the global response reflected his reach. Artists across genres credited him not just with shaping sound, but with shaping community. He proved that music can construct safe spaces where identity is not policed, but celebrated. In doing so, he left behind more than a genre. He left a blueprint for belonging. Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross remains one of the most revered vocalists in modern music history, celebrated for a voice that blended technical mastery with profound emotional depth. Rising from a background as a sought-after backing singer and arranger, he stepped into the spotlight in the early 1980s and quickly became synonymous with romantic R&B. Albums such as Never Too Much and Give Me the Reason achieved multi-platinum success, while songs like Here and Now and A House Is Not a Home became timeless standards, defining an era of sophisticated soul music. Despite extraordinary fame, Vandross lived under intense scrutiny. His public image was carefully maintained, shaped by an industry that demanded perfection and conformity. Throughout his career, persistent speculation surrounded his private life and health. Rather than address rumors, he chose discretion, focusing interviews and public appearances strictly on his work. This silence was not accidental. It reflected the cultural climate of the time, when queerness, especially for a black male R&B icon, marketed as the voice of romance, was often treated as career-ending. The weight of expectation extended beyond identity. Vandross struggled with long-term health issues, including diabetes and hypertension, conditions that significantly impacted his life and career. Media coverage often blurred compassion with cruelty, fueling harmful narratives during the height of the AIDS crisis, despite the absence of confirmed facts. These pressures expose the darker side of celebrity, where privacy becomes a battleground rather than a right. In 2003, Vandross suffered a severe stroke that limited his ability to perform and communicate. He passed away in 2005, leaving behind a body of work that continues to influence generations of singers across genres. His legacy is not defined by speculation, but by artistry, meticulous arrangements, flawless phrasing, and a rare ability to translate vulnerability into sound. Luther Vandross's story reflects the cost of silence in an unforgiving era, yet his music remains enduring proof that love, tenderness, and emotional honesty can transcend the constraints placed on the artist behind the voice. His impact endures not through revelation, but through resonance. George Michael. George Michael's journey is one of transformation, from polished pop idol to outspoken advocate for personal freedom. First achieving fame as part of Wham!, he quickly evolved into a global solo star whose music blended pop, soul, and R&B influences. Albums like Faith and Listen Without Prejudice Volume 1 produced chart-topping hits and sold tens of millions of copies worldwide, establishing him as one of the most successful artists of his generation. Behind the success, however, was a carefully constructed public persona. Early in his career, George Michael was marketed as a heterosexual heartthrob, a role that conflicted deeply with his private reality. For years, he navigated fame while concealing his sexuality, believing that openness would jeopardize his career. The strain of maintaining that duality took a visible toll, influencing both his mental health and his relationship with the media. In 1998, a highly publicized arrest forced an abrupt shift. Rather than retreating, Michael chose candor. He publicly acknowledged that he was gay and reframed the narrative with defiance and humor, reclaiming control over his identity. The response marked a cultural turning point. While the moment was born of humiliation, it ultimately freed him from years of enforced silence and transformed him into a prominent LGBTQ+ voice. Following this period, Michael became increasingly outspoken about personal liberty, censorship, and hypocrisy within the entertainment industry. His later work reflected greater emotional openness, while his public stance challenged the notion that authenticity diminishes artistry. Instead, his honesty deepened audience connection and reshaped how queer artists could exist in the mainstream. George Michael passed away in 2016, leaving behind a legacy defined by courage as much as creativity. His story illustrates how truth, even when forced into the open, can become a source of strength. By confronting his reality publicly, he helped dismantle long-standing fears surrounding queerness and fame, ensuring that those who followed would face a world slightly more open than the one he inherited. Rob Halford. Rob Halford, famously known as the Metal God, stands as one of the most influential frontmen in the history of heavy metal. As the lead singer of Judas Priest, Halford helped define the genre's sound and visual identity from the 1970s onward. His soaring vocal range, precision control, and commanding stage presence powered albums such as British Steel and Screaming for Vengeance, which collectively sold millions of copies worldwide and cemented the band's place in music history. For decades, Halford performed within a genre deeply rooted in hyper-masculine imagery. Leather, studs, aggression, and rebellion became synonymous with metal culture, ironically borrowing aesthetics from underground gay subcultures without acknowledging their origins. Within that environment, Halford lived with a secret that carried genuine risk. As a gay man, he feared rejection from fans, alienation from peers, and potential violence in a scene not known for tolerance during that era. In 1998, after nearly 30 years of silence, Halford came out publicly during an interview, stating his sexuality without drama or apology. The moment was understated, yet seismic. Contrary to widespread fears, the metal community's response was largely supportive. Fans embraced him not despite his honesty, but because of it. His career did not collapse. It endured and evolved. Halford's openness redefined what strength could look like in metal. He continued to record, tour, and influence new generations of musicians, proving that authenticity does not weaken power. In later years, he has spoken openly about addiction recovery, mental health, and survival, further expanding the scope of vulnerability within a genre once defined by emotional restraint. Rob Halford's legacy extends beyond vocals and riffs. He dismantled the myth that queerness and toughness cannot coexist. By standing fully in his truth, he showed that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to live honestly in spite of it. In doing so, he reshaped metal culture itself from the inside out. Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow built one of the most successful careers in pop music by mastering emotional connection. With timeless hits like Mandy, Copacabana, and I Write the Songs, he became synonymous with romance, vulnerability, and melodic storytelling. Over a career spanning 5 decades, Manilow sold more than 85 million records worldwide, cultivating a loyal fan base drawn to the intimacy and sincerity of his music. Yet behind the sweeping ballads and sold-out arenas, Manilow lived a deeply private life. From the late 1970s onward, he was in a committed relationship with his manager, Gary Keefe. At the height of his fame, Manilow chose secrecy not out of shame, but fear. Fear that revealing his truth would fracture the emotional bond with fans who projected heterosexual fantasies onto his music. In an era when openly gay pop stars were rare and often sidelined, discretion felt like survival. For more than 40 years, he maintained that boundary, allowing his work to speak while protecting the relationship that mattered most to him. The decision came at a personal cost, requiring constant vigilance and emotional restraint. That silence ended in 2017 when Manilow publicly confirmed his sexuality and his marriage to Keefe. The response defied his fears. Fans responded with overwhelming support, gratitude, and affection. Rather than rewriting his past, Manilow reframed it. He spoke candidly about why he waited and what honesty finally gave him: peace. His coming out was not framed as rebellion, but resolution, the closing of a long chapter defined by caution. Barry Manilow's story challenges the assumption that truth must be immediate to be valid. His journey underscores that authenticity unfolds differently for everyone. By choosing love quietly and revealing it when ready, he demonstrated that courage can be patient and that it is never too late to live openly on one's own terms. These icons changed music, film, sports, and culture. But did the world ever truly change for them? If privacy was respected for some, why was it denied to others? And why does a Black celebrity's identity still spark debate while others are left unquestioned? The industry has evolved, but the double standard remains. So the real question is this: are we celebrating progress or settling for appearances? Let us know your honest opinion in the comments. Join the conversation, subscribe, and stay with Black excellence legends, where untold stories demand real discussion.